Anyhow, let's get started then, let's get started. The 50-50 shot, this transition breaks. Pretty sure I fixed it at least 20 interviews ago. Anyhow, here we go. Alright, so first things first, buddy. Introduce yourself.
My name is ThunderPsyker. I am a voice actor and YouTuber who is best known for shows such as If the Emperor Had a Text-to-Speech Device, which is a Warhammer 40,000 parody show, and Hunter the Parenting, which is a Vampire the Masquerade / World of Darkness a parody show as well, involving some very similar characters, but in a very different framework and very different setting. It's great to be here.
Okay. Nice, not bad, not bad. Straight to the point, straight to the point. The YouTuber and voice actor. I do have to ask on the YouTubing part, because I did go back through your catalog and I'm like, alright, where's the Chaos Rising review, huh?
Oh yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing, is that why people will say, like, hang on a second. There was a while where I was on a podcast with Zoran, and he originally introduced me as like, oh yeah, Thunder, he makes videos, and then he quietly dropped that. But
God damn it.
The stuff I'm best known for is the retrospectives of Dawn of War. I really enjoyed making those videos. They're really good fun, and they are something that I want to do more of. It's not something that I want to utterly abandon, but I think if people have been in the know with some of the work that I've done, as well as with 40k, think they'd know that there might have been some complications of how I feel about 40k at the moment. So, that's something we can definitely talk about going ahead. But that's the main stuff I'm known for. The other stuff on my YouTube channel is honestly like stuff I made like while in college and high school, so it's not much to comment on.
Fair enough. So then, in that case, I will have to ask, what is your current choice of games then? So what do you actually spend your time on? What do you go ahead and play?
So I play a big grab bag of games thanks to a friend of mine who has made it her mission to actually get me to play games and not just sit around watching YouTube videos all day. It is thanks to her I've played a lot of weird stuff as well as a lot of genres I wouldn't normally do. More recently, she got me into more horror games and got me to play most of the Resident Evils. Ooh. And I've actually been playing the Resident Evil 2 remake again recently, just in my own time. because I think that one is probably my favorite of the ones I've played. I've played the one remake, the 2 remake, 4, 5, and 6. So real swing of quality among all of those. But like most of those games are really, really good. I think that the 2 remake is just the one that hits that nice middle ground between the sort of the survival horror, escape from the facility, navigate the map, manage the items, slightly clunky controls to make those like really tense moments where you're grabbed and you can't get out. But it still lets you, it's not tank controls. There's a decent amount of like weapons, ammo, that kind of thing. Like it's that nice middle between the action and the horror, which I like.
Okay, fair enough, because some people say having too much agency kind of defeats the purpose at times. And then, yeah. So have you played any other specific horror games of note then? In which case?
Yeah, if we're talking like a complete swing, a complete opposite of quality, a friend of mine and I, as I said, we sometimes play some really weird stuff. She got me to play Illbleed for the Dreamcast, which... Yeah.
God. Okay.
Yeah. Illbleed is fucking fascinating. It is a weird game. I kind of like the unique thing they went for of like, you've got like several different things you've got to monitor. It's not just your health, but you've also got a bleed bar. You've got a heart rate that can kill you if it goes up too high and all this stuff. But it is also... It's from the Dreamcast era, so it's that era where everything looks like a PS2 game, but animates like a PS1 game. It is fucking wacky, and what I like is just a game that gives me a lot to talk about, because and Illbleed is no exception. Like if you want a relative baseline of the other things that we've played, so that it doesn't sound completely off the cuff.
Sure.
We've also played like Tulip, which is one of the games that I think inspired like Undertale's dialogue. Tulip's a huge rabbit hole if you ever want to go down in that. And we've even played to the end Yik, a postmodern RPG. Y2K/Yik. I will always call it Yik. That game was fascinating as well. Just to see a game that like, oh my god, how do you concisely describe Yik?
That's difficult.
Bad. Yeah, but why would I do this to myself? Because I gotta have. You gotta have the bads to make the good look better, You gotta
have
see the other side of life.
Variety.
Sometimes you want to have black coffee because it's bitter, and you want to have sweet tea because it's sweet, right?
Fair enough. You know what? I should throw that in as a question later. The British seem to love their tea for whatever reason, huh?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I may as well ask this before I accidentally offend. How much do you care about the cricket over there?
How much do I care about the cricket? I don't really at all. That's more my dad's thing. He's all over it. But all I know is that for the country that seems to bring it to everyone else when we don't seem to be amazing at it, like, I don't know how well we've been doing recently, but like, it's. I guess I was surprised to find out how many countries play cricket. But then again, like. It shouldn't surprise me too much. I think there's just it's just a lot of the cartoons I watched growing up. It was all about baseball. Baseball's just not a thing.
Yeah,
not a thing in the UK.
It really isn't over here either. Like, cricket is the thing that's bloody televised here. Like, I will be dealing at a casino table, and for whatever reason, the manager of the floor is deciding, okay, let's put cricket up on the TV for people to watch. And legitimately, people will line up and watch the damn thing. I'm like, buddy. I'm sitting here dealing thousands of dollars at stake, and this gun over here is just being like, alright, watches around the cricket, puts down another bet, goes back to watching the cricket. I'm like, do you
To
not
be
care
fair-
about the $1,000 that you put down? Do you care more about the ball flying through? God damn it.
You don't know. He might have put down $1,000 on who was going to win cricket, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't actually know how betting works for cricket. Is it like, oh, how many wickets are you going to get? Because I know, like football/soccer is going to be a lot more specific at times.
Depending on what a person's got on their multi, then yeah, that may potentially be a thing, even. But yeah, cricket, I don't know. It's been everywhere since I've been raised over here. And it's a bit like, this feels just very Australian, just seeing it around, whatever reason. Anyhow, I may as well jump right into the meat and potatoes of things. So, Games Workshop IPs. What is your current sentiment towards them, buddy?
Ooh, strong question. All right, we got to jump into this one because this has been a topic of thought for a long time. So I think a lot of people who sort of follow what Alpha has done and what I have done will probably know about the Games Workshop sort of Warhammer Plus stuff, and then the fan content policy that came out last year. And that really brought into question what the hell we were doing. Because I remember at the time I was thinking, like, we've got to fight this. Like, this isn't something we should just sort of let happen. We need to push back. But Alpha was like, dude, I'm one guy. I've got a family to feed. I am not gonna go into like a legal battle with Games Workshop. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's a fair point. So we what we did is then they sort of talked about, like, you know, what other stuff can we do in the meantime, and they kind of, like, Alpha and a few of the other writers kind of gathered together and they thought about what they were going to do, and that led to creating Hunter the Parenting, among a few other projects that are still in the works.
Alright.
But as for myself, the sort of reaction from the fandom was very visible. It was very profound, and it was quite emotional as well, because it really showed that TTS meant a lot to people, and it was like, well, damn, we're gonna have to put it on an indefinite hiatus, and people are really gonna miss it. And there is someone on Reddit to this day who is saluting every day until TTS comes back. And I want to fucking salute them back because they are a trooper.
God damn.
But yeah, that kind of recolored some things about 40k for me, because I would say, if you asked me a few years ago, 40k would be like my favorite fictional setting.
Okay.
And it's one of my favorite IPs. Like, I love playing the 40k games. I really like the world. And it kind of gave me an avenue to not only kind of do tabletop gaming and make that more of a thing I like, but also it started me off on YouTube. It inspired me to make videos and to do all kinds of stuff. My first ever video that I ever made was a Warhammer 40,000 series called The Emperor's Finest. And Alpha Abuser uploaded that onto his own channel. I gave him the original footage, and he edited it down into something that was fucking hysterical. So give that a watch if you ever get the chance.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So but now, as time kind of went on, I interacted with the 40k fandom for basically 10 years straight.
Ooh.
Yeah, like because in 2012 was really when I got into like doing stuff online, and then and then and from that point on, I was surrounded by 40k people like constantly whenever I was on the internet, and it kind of made me. So one, I kind of met more people who were way more into the franchise than I was, and second of all, I also got to be a little bit more in the know when things were being updated. And I reached I reached some very strange trains of thought when it comes to content I want to make and all that stuff. I want to continue making the Dawn of War retrospectives, but it's a thing of I want to boycott GW. I don't want to do Warhammer stuff. Can I really confidently say if I make like a more Dawn of War videos or videos on Space Marine or even Fire Warrior, I don't know if I'll manage that because Mandalore fucking nailed Fire Warrior. I don't know if I'll compete him.
I asked the cunt about that at the time I interviewed him, and he was just like, Fire Warrior was a weird one.
Yeah, but on the other hand, on the other hand, I thought to myself, Chaos Rising is like a 10-year-old game. It's constantly on sale. It doesn't really add anything to Games Workshop's bottom line. Like, what's really the harm if I eventually make a video on that or Retribution and that kind of thing? Like, I'll probably so the thing is, I probably will. And then I had a thought. I really like Dawn of War. I think I just like Dawn of War more than Warhammer. like you know, like I think I like, in some cases I think I like the 40k games as takes on Warhammer more than Warhammer itself. Especially now that, especially like because they're all kind of microcosms of when they came out, right? Like 40k comes out in editions, and with it's not like D&D where you can go back and play 3.5 or 4th or even 2nd, and people are still doing that, and they're not going to get updated, but they've all got their splat books. With 40k, you're rarely going to find someone who says, yeah, I'll play 3rd edition with you, why not? They'll like the everyone's bought new armies, they've painted new stuff, and the lore kind of gets overwritten. Everything in 40k feels like it's set in the last year of the 41st millennium, and every edition more stuff happens in that year, and it's got to the point where I think the timeline got retconned, and they said like, no, actually, there's now more years in the 41st millennium because of 8th and 9th edition. So,
oh god.
So it's a thing of I do really like the world of Warhammer, but frankly, I think the Warhammer that I fell in love with is 4th edition. I think it's everything, but I think it's everything between 3rd and 5th. It's that microcosm of the 2000s that I still love that. It's not coming back. But I can still like what was there. I like Kassakin, I like Defilers, I like Obliterators. I do like new Necrons, but I do also really like the old Necrons. It's a bit of a hard toss-up actually as time's gone on, because I do really like.
We went from Terminators to bloody Egyptian gods basically, but
but that's been the hardest toss-up, because they're the like Trazen and all that kind of stuff's really, really cool. Silent King and all that, but it's weird. This is something I want to talk about in more depth when I actually get back to videos, because I want to make an update video that kind of makes this clear of, I do want to review the rest of Dawn of War, but I don't know how much I can promise wanting to do more Warhammer. I've even got a friend of mine who works at Creative Assembly who managed to get me Total War Warhammer 3 quite cheap when it came out. And I was really like thankful that they did that, but I haven't touched it because it's a thing of, do I want to do Warhammer things? I don't know. So yeah.
Fair enough. Like, I will say, 4th edition is where I personally started as well. Like, that was way back in 2008, I think it was, when I first got introduced to 40k, and that was straight up just, oh, there's this cool little shop, like, near, let's say, our version of Liverpool, basically. Because of course we have a Liverpool over here. But yeah, there was this cool little shop over in Liverpool that was like, oh, this is a Games Workshop stall. Okay, sure. Let's go in, take a look, and blah blah blah. Year old me was just like, this is amazing. What the hell? Okay, let's paint some stuff. And you get your first Space Marine. You're like, okay, cool. All right, what now? So eventually you get a mate which introduces you to Dawn of War, and it's like, okay, this is my life now for like the next God knows how long. But yeah. Oh no, I totally get you. Yeah, because that was definitely what roped me in at the time, and it would just be, because, you're young, blah, 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 you can only play, like, patrol armies and whatnot. You end up with, in my case, I ended up with a bunch of Tau, mates ended up with Space Marines, whatever. And yeah, quite wild stuff, looking back at it. But man, because 4th edition, that rules book was definitely the one that established the setting for like the next few years, pretty much.
Yeah.
Of just like, okay, here's our blurb. Very long tirade on the Corpse Emperor, followed by, yes, in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, there is only war.
Yeah. No, I bought my own copy of the 4th edition one a while ago because I realized I hadn't had one for years, and it's nice to sort of get back to that. It's very nostalgic. I think people who probably are like more into the crunch would say that 4th isn't like the best. It's nowhere near the best edition of Warhammer, it's more of a sentimentality thing. But yeah. Yeah, so feeling. I apologize for the long ramble. Like 40k is a bit. Yeah. It was a big thing for me, and it's a complicated subject, so that's kind of where I stand on it.
Alright. And so here is a question from a mate of mine, very specifically. So, considering that we may just see the rest of the Dawn of War 2 ones, are we ever going to see Dawn of War 3?
100%. Like, so this is the thing, right? Yeah, like I want to do them all. I don't want to leave a job unfinished. I just have unfortunately taken my sweet ass time because of circumstances, and it's a thing of Dawn of War 3. I think is going to be a little bit hard, and I might ask for some help.
Okay.
But that's one I'm definitely going to have to cover. It's funny because there was a while where I kind of looked at all my favorite games and went, most of my favorite games have had like a hiccup in the franchise where something's gone wrong.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, Dawn of War's probably had the easiest time because like Soulstorm, it wasn't bad, it just wasn't particularly good.
Yeah, it was coming off of Dark Crusade, so it had a lot to live up to. Even
it did. It came off the back of a game that managed to come out really well after what looked to have been like a really heavy crunch period. That game got made in like something like 9 months, like real quick.
Yeah, really fast.
Yeah. Whereas Soulstorm was made completely different team, who didn't quite know the ins and outs of like all the code and everything like that, and they had certain expectations put on them that they could not deliver. But by comparison, you then get to Dawn of War 3 and you go, they tried with this, but this is a relic that was 5 years past a THQ cell being sold and all that stuff. So
yep.
it's a tragedy. That one's one that's going to be a lot to unpack, and I've got friends of mine who are like, "Yo, can I help you? Can I help you with Dawn of War 3?" And I'm like, I will probably need it.
Because the main part I remember of it is just a lot of Relic Entertainment staff had moved on by then, so yeah, it would have been nowhere near the same staff doing it, pretty much.
Yeah. It's a lot of new blood, and there are certain things to dissect, but about it, because I remember quite vividly some of the promo stuff they were doing. In particular, they were going, look, we've got our, like, I think it was the creative director or someone were like, yeah, this person worked on Dark Crusade, everyone's favorite. Even though I guess Soulstorm's everyone's favorite because they love mods, but but they were like, oh yeah, here's our guy, and we're going to interview him, and they addressed the art style change in that people kind of had a bit of a backlash to, and kind of came across it with a sort of, well, people are talking about the art style, but we all know we're doing a good job, right? Yeah, we're doing a good job, and it's like, oh, that is not the way you want to set your expectations for this. So it's a whole thing to unpack with Dawn of War 3. So that will be, I thought that 20 minutes is a long video, but we are now in an era of hour-long. Actually, no, we're in an era of 12-hour-long Oblivion analysis. So that video haunts my YouTube recommended because Oblivion is one of my favorite games, and I'm like, do I enjoy?
Well, one I've had haunt my recommendeds for a while was like JXC's 6 hour long on Doctor Who, and I was like, oh boy.
Oh,
yeah. There was 6 hours long on the newest season of Doctor Who at the time, and I was like, do I really want to go through this? Do I want to know what happens after Matt Smith, Doctor Who? Wait, no,
Yeah.
it wasn't even Matt Smith Doctor. It was after like Peter Capaldi ones as well. So I'm like, oh god, what
Oh
happened to
yeah,
the
I
latest
forgot there was
Doctor? And
Oh,
yeah, 6 hours later of my time, I'm like, man, I wish I hadn't seen that. I wanted to keep the good memories I had of Doctor Who. Because that was
Yeah.
definitely a British import that I grew up on at some point. Good lord.
Oh yeah, Eccleston and Tennant were huge over here. But I think I kind of dropped off after Matt Smith, and it was for a really petty reason.
Oh, okay.
So it was, I think the last David Tennant Doctor Who's were, I think he's confronting the Master, and there's a whole thing in that last episode where like the Master is going like, you could shoot me. You could pick up a gun, you could shoot me right now, you could kill me, you could end this all, but he knows the Doctor isn't going to do that.
Yep.
And there's like a whole bit where I think the Doctor does end up shooting a gun, but it's deliberate. It's to like hit a switch or break something. It wasn't to kill a guy, and it's a whole thing of like, oh shit, is he gonna? Oh no shit, and then and it's a thing of like, no, guns are tools, they're not weapons of murder, they're not something that he uses. And it's a whole big thing. And then I think right after that episode ends, on a big emotional note of him saying goodbye to everyone over the last 5 seasons, he regenerates into Matt Smith, and they play a big demo reel of the new Matt Smith series. And I was like, okay, this looks fun, everything. Last fucking shot is the Doctor with a gun smiling like, oh, I'm the Doctor, baby. And it's like, what the fuck is this? Hold up. I feel emotionally betrayed. What is this now? And I was like, I gave like the first episode a shot, and I was like, I'm good, and then I dropped it from there.
Yeah, Matt Smith Doctor. Yeah, it takes a very long time for the emotional payoff of that one to actually come around. I think it's like almost 2 whole seasons before that one comes around to actually paying off. Because goddamn. But yeah, David Tennant one, that's pretty much the one I grew up on, and the one that I ended up seeing the most of, including that finale with the Master, and man, that hits bloody hard.
Yeah. But I'm sorry to hear you had to go through the 6-hour ordeal of rediscovering what happened afterwards.
Yeah. There's been a couple of series out there like that, and yeah, I did actually sit through the 12-hour Oblivion one. Jesus Christ.
Would you recommend it?
Mainly remember, let's see. Mainly I think it was complaints about the side quests and some of the mechanics here and there, but stuff that didn't exactly get patched up over the time with, It's a time. I'm pretty sure the guy did one for Skyrim as well at some point. Maybe, or I'm thinking of a different guy who did it in like 3 different parts, but anyhow. So this next question, I normally ask it like direct. For whatever reason, good chunk of people I've asked it to take it very philosophically. So, what does content creation mean to you?
Yeah, it's a big question. I'm gonna interpret creative content creation as just like, a lot of stuff you do on the internet. So like, YouTube, Twitch, SoundCloud, any of that kind of thing. So I feel like for one, it's a pretty big creative outlet. It's, I see, video production and content creation like that. Like it's a whole process that you can make a lot of cool stuff out of. Like I don't think it's just a means to let like other art kind of show. I think that editing is itself is something that can be really fulfilling, and it's also it's sort of the act of kind of composing a visual sort of thing. That being said, what I really like to do was create the retrospectives, because to me, I think this probably isn't that well reflected in the first retrospectives, but what I like about videos like this now is how they make discussion. I really like seeing comments on the Dawn of War videos that are about people sharing their memories of going, oh yeah, I remember when this came out and I played with I remember when this came out and I played this and it was really, really good fun. I remember 2004 and all this stuff like that. It's nice to have that. But also talking about just sort of what people like about the games and sort of like all these little points here and there. Very much enjoyed someone sort of saying that they liked that I kind of approached the games kind of the same way that a new person would to a game, where I kind of look at it from like the initial impressions and then go into like the campaign and taking what it looks like, taking what it sounds like, try out the multiplayer, all this kind of stuff, and that's kind of that's what I like. I like seeing people talk about the game in that way. It's also just sort of like a fulfilling process to actually make a whole video and put it out there and go, I am done with this, I am happy with this. And it's one of the reasons I don't like rushing things. The Dawn of War 2 video would have been done a hell of a lot quicker in 2017 if I had put out the original draft that I had made.
Okay.
But yeah, I made an original draft in 2017 that I hated because it was very dry. It didn't have a lot to say. It was very much like, here is thing, here is thing, here is thing, overall thing, and it was there wasn't there wasn't anything to talk about. There wasn't anything to comment on. And I think that was because I didn't know how to approach Dawn of War 2 compared to the first.
Okay.
But yeah, ultimately the way I approach the Dawn of War 2 video is I'm gonna have to pick apart how this game plays like moment to moment first, then go into the modes. Because the modes are things like, you know, the campaign and the multiplayer are completely different.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like that kind of thing. So I can't just do the same thing with Dawn of War 1 and go like, oh yeah, you build your base and you make a big army and you go to the other end of the map and you kill people. Like no, like the campaign's an RPG basically. You pick up loot and everything. Yeah. So eventually I took my time to actually like make something I was happy with, and then a few other issues cropped up that like slowed things down massively, but those are things I really do not want to talk about. But making and finally finishing the Dawn of War 2 video is one of the most creatively fulfilling things I've ever done. And
fair enough.
It's all the more reason I want to do more.
That's it. I remember when my brother and I saw that, what's it called, you released that just quick teaser, just like, it's coming. My brother and I just immediately freaked out when we saw that in his subscription box. We were just like, wait, this guy's actually doing this. Holy shit.
Yeah, that was the goal. That was what I wanted. I wanted to basically go like, surprise. But that actually nearly didn't come out on time. There was fucking fate struck me down. Where I was gonna render the video the day that it was coming out, and then my Vegas file got corrupted.
Oh.
So yeah.
Ouch.
So I had to go into a autosave of a previous version where none of the sound editing was in.
Oh.
And make the rest of it within the space of about 8 hours. And I even got like. I even got a friend of mine, Dr. White, who also makes YouTube content. He's fucking great. To make me a new scene, because I was like, okay, White, I made a gag. It's now gone. Would you be able to make something real quick as like a replacement? Because to be honest, I think you'll probably do something funnier with this. And he was like, yeah, sure, give me 30 minutes. and then we got the say the line Avitus joke, and that was where that came from.
I see. Fair enough.
Just now a thumbnail.
But yeah, remember, kids, back up your files.
Yeah.
Good God.
Back up your files. Make multiple versions of them. Don't rely on Sony Vegas autosave, because you will otherwise lose all of your audio editing and make a very poorly audio balanced video. That's my one big problem I've got with the Dawn of War 2 video, is I didn't balance it right. But yeah.
Not gonna lie, I did notice it a bit going through it here and there. I was just like, okay, that had a slight pop for some reason. Okay, yep, okay, Apologies. When you have a decent audio rig, it's just like, yeah, some qualities here and there pop out a bit more here and there. Because, you know, there's eventually that one point in your world where you take one step into what high quality audio is meant to sound like, and you're like, oh no, I can't go back, can I? Ah.
Yeah. At one point, I considered releasing a remastered version of the Dawn of War 2 review, and then I thought, like, why the fuck am I going to do that? I haven't even made a new one yet. But yeah.
Fair enough. Because yeah, the shift from the original Dawn of War straight to Dawn of War 2 was pretty drastic, but you could see where Relic got their idea from, pretty much. It was just, we had come straight off of making Company of Heroes. Well, time for 40k flavored Company of Heroes.
Yeah, well, Company of Heroes was like critically acclaimed. I can see why they did it. I think in interviews, at one point someone from Relic got interviewed about Dawn of War 1, and they said, honestly, with Dawn of War 1, we didn't make exactly what we wanted to make. We made something that you know, kind of fit the specifications of 40k, and when that did well enough, we made Company of Heroes, and Company of Heroes was what we wanted to make. So Dawn of War 2 kind of became the compromise, and I kind of respect them doing that. But...
no, that's fair enough, because you could see a couple of flavors of Company of Heroes in the original Dawn of War here and there, like cover system, capturing points, etc. And then eventually Company of Heroes 2 came out, and oh boy, that was a special kind of affair. A couple of mates of mine still play that to this day, actually. And I've seen a couple of mates of mine, notably a very mean Cyclops mate, just, sweep the floor with 3 people. So, yeah, it's a time. But, man, so this next question that I've got to ask is more or less directly related to my particular platform of things. So, how often have you run into VTubers before?
I'd say not very often. I've known people who sort of have done it sort of occasionally. I mean, Zoran kind of had a VTuber rig for a while. I don't know if he's still got it rolling.
Oh, I've seen it as recent as like 2 months ago, maybe, something like that.
Oh, right, yeah. I just know he experimented a few different ways of doing it, and there's and I think a few people who've been voice actors on TTS before have kind of shared that they've done some VTuber work and that kind of thing. But
okay.
It's not so, I've not really been directly involved in it. I had a friend of mine recommended that, like, hey, if you want to get back into YouTube, you should do a VTuber thing, and I was like, what would that be? And he said, well, you could make like you could make your VTuber just a little like a little cat, and I was like, I guess I could do that. I don't know if that meshes with my vibe, but we'll see. Who knows? It might be fun. I don't really know.
Yeah, for someone that's straight up just known as Kitten, I think that works perfectly fine, honestly.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, so I totally see why. I mean, honestly, the design for Kitten in Hunter the Parenting in particular, I feel like could work quite well, because I really like the little dot eyes. I think it could be quite expressive. But ultimately, at the same time, I wouldn't mind having some separation between myself and between the characters I play. But,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Because when I went through and looked at Kitten's design for Hunter the Parenting, I'm like, I didn't realize there was an apron down there, rather than just a pair of trousers. Nope, that's an apron, and that. So apron, hoodie, ski glasses, ski goggles. Mind going over that for a moment, actually. So why specifically did that crop up?
I think they were thinking like, oh good lord, how do we redesign a character whose whole design is being in armor? Because they were like what do we do? And I think they created this really weird hodgepodge of different clothing to kind of get the effect. I think the apron is solely to kind of resemble the I think you'd call it a tabard.
Oh,
like
I see. Like
one of those sorts of things that the custodies have. But the as for the rest of it, I like to think the headcanon is that Kitten is just like it's like the middle of November or something in Hunter the Parenting, and it's just like really cold. So that's why Kitten's always wearing that. Fandom's made some really fun alternative designs before, like from the fan art, and it's been really cool.
Yeah, some of those are quite nice, yeah. But yeah, looking through all of the Hunter the Parenting stuff, I was just like, god damn, where the hell did this production value come from?
Oh, good lord, yeah. That's really the thing, because the first episode of Hunter the Parenting was sort of made in a rush. Like it got put out relatively quickly, and then the process of making 2 and 3 really let the animators like really go ham on it. They got assigned sort of different areas of the episode that had their strengths. They were sort of allowed to do more dynamic shots. They could take their time with sort of refining the designs and the models and everything. And yeah, the jump from episode 1 to 3 is insane. Like it gives me a lot of hope that we're going to keep getting stuff like that coming out in the future. And I think we will, given that the team we've built up a nice camaraderie between the artists and writers and everyone. So I think we want to keep those people on.
Fair enough, because yeah, when I was looking through, like, let's say, so straight up, I hadn't seen episodes 2 and 3 until very recently. Like, I saw 1 when it came out, and was straight up like, god damn, okay, this is a massive step up. Where the hell did they get all of this art from? Because man, there was a crazy amount of different renders and expressions. I was like, I am used to seeing puppets floating around and jumping in random directions.
Yeah.
All right, where did all these expressions come from?
Yeah, I think the one of the good things to come out of the sort of sudden cut off of TTS and jumping into a new IP is that it has drastically escalated how Alpha makes his videos now, and he now can experiment with doing things quite a bit more differently. And now Hunter the Parenting feels less like a puppet show and more like just basically a cartoon. And
oh yeah,
I think that's brilliant. Like,
yeah.
like I think like it actually gets to a point I don't really remember the scenes that are like more homages to TTS, because there's 1 or 2 in Hunter the Parenting where they're doing the whole, puppet thing, and but then you see the animations that Carl's been able to pull out, that Garrett's been able to do, and like it's insane.
Yeah, some of those, like, when I finally got around to the 3rd episode, I was like, holy hell, okay. Goddamn, some of those shots are insane. Like, anything involving Piotr and just the creeping madness through that guy is just like, oh, shit, alright. Because I was trying to take a stab at just how they animated it. I was like, okay, either you've got some kind of 3D model rig behind that, and you're rotoscoping on top of that, or it's some kind of spine or live 2D affair. That was my guess, because doing all of that, if it was all hand-drawn, Jesus Christ, basically.
I think because the main program that's used to animate this stuff is After Effects, I believe.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I think a lot of assets are drawn in like an assortment of software. I think depends on sort of artist preference, but I think it's animated in After Effects, so there is a lot of like I think there is a lot of spline, and I don't know if there was rotoscope, but I do know a scene in the upcoming Half-Life show is rotoscoped, and it's hysterical. I really love what Carl did with that one, but I won't spoil that, because all I want to say is that if you're making a Half-Life show, there's a very clear tool you can use to make Half-Life things that they were able to use, that they used to the fucking best ability, and I love it. But
God damn. Yeah. Okay, so After Effects. All right. You know what? Fair enough. Yep, the one sitting behind me is an expert. Anyhow, so I might probe her brain later on that. Anyhow, I do have to ask, so what exactly drew you guys towards the masquerade kind of setting? So why jump over
So
there specifically? Because you went from like hard sci-fi kinda over to modern day vampires.
Yes, it is quite a leap. I think the big motivator is it was a mixture of Alpha Abuser and Speaker D, who plays Big D and
Yep.
is was one of the main sort of writers for TTS and for Hunter. They both really liked World of Darkness,
Okay.
and they heard about the owners of the World of Darkness IP have a pretty good like fan content policy.
Alright.
I forget what it's called. I think it's called the Dark Pack or the Blood Pack or something like that. That effectively gives a lot of like people, a lot of fans, kind of free reign to make fan content. They as a result they went, well, this seems like a pretty good opportunity. We'll do that. Yeah, it would have made a lot more sense to go into sci-fi, and BattleTech was one that was very much on the table because, by contrast, Erndil, who is another one of the writers, he's very into BattleTech, and a lot of people who worked in TTS are into BattleTech. But ultimately, I think that kind of got nipped in the bud because of the IP problems of who owns BattleTech and how strict are they going to be on the content. There were scares and fears that some stuff has been taken down that would result like we like I don't quite remember what the specific example was, but it kind of like spooked Alpha enough to go, okay, I'm not sure we want to do this yet. But yeah, it's a pity because people had their ideas of what they wanted to do with a BattleTech series. But right now, I don't think it's entirely ruled out, but it's something that's like taking the back burner compared to other projects.
Man, Stompy robots are great. But Stompy robots are great. God damn it.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting then, because World of Darkness was definitely not the first thing to crop up into mind, but I think you guys bloody nailed it, was the thing.
Oh god, yeah. There's a lot of like the passion that Speaker and Alpha have really shows through. Like they really like know how to get the sort of the tone nailed down, and I think that that's probably the best direction to go, is for the team to make something that they really want to make, because like it then means that you really bring out your best. And I think that from my understanding, I think Hunter has brought in a lot of new fans that TTS wasn't, and that's good. It means that you're kind of developing your audience is not only growing, it's like, you know, it's becoming more varied. It's and that's a cool thing, because a lot of TTS people have stuck around, and a lot of new people are coming in too. So
Oh yeah,
more the merrier.
Yep, definitely. Because yeah, looking through Hunter, the one particular scene with Kitten where they are guessing through the kinds of vampires each of them are, I think that's the one which is like just a really good example of good writing and introducing people to the setting at the same time. It's just like, yeah, Kitten wants to show the fact that he's smart, and just putting it in your face to these vampires at the same time. They're just like, no, fuck off. You got that one wrong. You got this one wrong.
Yeah,
And Kitten's just like, yep, time to learn a bit more.
Yep, no, exactly. It's I mean, people we always knew with TTS that people were, well, I say we started picking up people were using TTS as sort of a here's how you get into 40k sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
And as a result, we kind of figured we can do the same kind of thing with Hunter the Parenting. But the kind of twist now is that Kitten in TTS knew a lot about the galaxy because he was thousands upon thousands of years old.
Yeah.
Whereas Kitten in TTS is 20/30 something. I don't actually remember. He's learning about a world that is deliberately trying to stay secret.
Uh-huh.
That's like that's interesting because it means there's more to learn, there's more to pick apart, and there's things to challenge, right? Like Dor has a very different opinion on vampires to Marcus, who's a very different one to Kitten, who is a very different one to D, who probably knows what's going on and doesn't want to tell anyone.
Oh yeah, like all of that shows up in the second episode for sure. When it's like, all right, let's pit them all against each other.
Oh god, yeah. Which sorry, you've now reminded me of when D comes in that episode.
Yep.
And I like really good acting from Speaker T. But I was also thinking like, oh yeah, the animation work and the expression, everything's really good. Then just remembered the bit where he swallows an entire ham and walks in, and I'm like, why the fuck did we put that in? Why is that in the episode? I love it, but it's...
Yeah, there are a lot of little charm points like that in the new series, definitely. Like, there are definitely things that if you blink, you'll miss it. So going back for a rewatch, you're just like, god damn, okay. Didn't actually see that one unnecessarily, huh? All right.
Oh, there's one thing I want to talk about with a blink and you miss it moment, because
sure.
I still can't figure out if it made it into the final cut or not. There's a bit in episode 3 where when the storyboards for it were being drawn up, so we were kind of the corners were being cut, and we were sort of going like, all right, we got to make this out quickly, and someone just straight up drew Kitten like an Among Us character, like just torso legs.
Oh
and
god.
That little frame stayed in production like for so long, like to the point where like someone went over it and drew more elaborate art of it and like that kind of thing, and it was like, are we putting this in? Because I wanted that in. That was hysterical to me, that like for a single frame he just looks like that.
And then
I think, and I can't tell if it's still in there as a smear frame or not, but it's one of the scenes where they're like running out of like Marcus's room and they're going down the stairs. I think there's a single freeze frame, it might be blurred, where Kitten is just no arms, no heads. His visor is somehow on his fucking chest, and he is pretty sus.
Oh god.
So please keep a lookout for it, and if you can find it, please send that to me on Twitter.
I'll take a look back and see. God damn.
It's beautiful.
Because that episode was definitely one where I was just like, yeah, this shows the cast's ability for a lot of things. Good lord, because the part in your case that I was particularly impressed with was basically Kitten roasting Piotr.
It was a really cool sort of like back and forth, and I think everyone in that episode pulled out all the stops. Like, I don't know if Dor gets enough credit for the performance Anchors does for him. During the sort of final confrontation. Before, yeah. Probably shouldn't spoil episode 3 in case people haven't seen it yet. But like Piotr's delivery is incredible. It's some of the best stuff I think White's ever done, and I actually didn't think I did that well, but we were being voice coached by Speaker, who was saying no, you're absolutely killing it. In retrospect, it's definitely one of those scenes I'm very, very proud of.
Like, damn, when I heard that, I was like, if I go back to the first episodes of TTS and then hop over here, goddamn, this cunt's come a long bloody way, pretty much.
Oh god, yeah, you could. I mean, it's a lot of things. It's getting more comfortable playing the character. It's just sort of building up the sort of confidence in VA work. And one other huge difference that I'm so glad we started doing was actually being voice coached while we were recording, because early TTS, it was all in isolation. It was, yeah, record this in your own time, send it back to me, and that meant that certain takes I'd need to then do later, and the sound quality would be a bit different, and that sort of thing. Whereas I'm trying to think about the first example of that happening in TTS. My first memory of it is for weirdly the Yu-Gi-Oh episode, the one with Zinch in it. Where I think it was we went a bit overboard. We had myself, Zegram, who plays Magnus, now Marcus, and a guy called Kiwi who plays Zinch. Kiwi's awesome. I could talk about him for days. We were all in like a call recording the lines. It took us forever, but it meant that like I think it was Alpha himself was basically going like, oh yeah, do it a little bit more like this, give this one another shot, like all that kind of stuff, and really letting us do the best we could. Sorry, I bumped my mic. But now with Hunter the Parenting, it has been Speaker who has been doing the coaching, and Speaker is a really good hype man. Like for a guy who can pull off Big D's voice like that, and that energy that he carries in every episode.
Oh yeah.
Like he is really good at what he does, and I'm really glad that like they've started doing that, because it's just night and day.
Oh yeah, like it's pretty much professional voice acting, essentially, where you have your director sitting there in the booth as well, pretty much, and just going like, okay, take the line, let's hear the delivery. All right, what can you do about the delivery to make it better, or was that a good take, etc., etc. We'll note that one down for comping later, pretty much. And just that nice kind of back and forth, and it's like, okay, how do we do this better? How do we do this and that? Me, I didn't quite have that as much of an extent, because I'm no voice actor by any stretch. I used to be a radio host though, so here and there I would actually have a producer sitting in the room. And after every interview I had to do on air, it would just be like, okay, so here's the talking points that you missed. Here's the stuff you could have done better. And I'm just like, oh boy, I'm getting grilled for this, aren't I? Oh boy.
Yeah. But, like, I get it, because it's sort of a thing of they want to see you improve and that kind of thing. But yeah, no, I quite enjoy it just from an actor's perspective, because I'm always striving to be better at what I do. But I've also had jobs where I have been both on the receiving and giving end of that kind of feedback, and it is I understand the sort of anxieties or the frustrations of it, because it's a whole thing.
Oh yeah, the giving end is definitely interesting as well, because yeah, you can see the times that someone's trying their best, and then the times where it's like a bit more just a little bit more, and you can nail this. Come on.
100%. Or times where someone's done like everything right, and then it's like, well, I technically can't give you a pass because you got this one thing wrong, and it's like, why it's a whole thing.
Yeah. When you go into like the audio engineering side of things, it's just like, how much can I patch this up, or how much are we going to need to go back to the studio? Oh boy. Because there's been one very specific time where I had to go as deep as repairing a waveform just to make sure that we could just run with that particular cut. It was just like, we can't really afford to get this person back here to redub this, so oh boy.
Oh my god, yeah, no, I get you. I got at one point I did some VA work like professionally, and I realized like during the recording process, I was like, oh boy, I've got a big issue here I've got to edit out, and miraculously managed to do it. It was really awkward as well. It was like a slight, you know, when you've got like a slightly blocked up nose and you get like a slight whistle. Oh, it was that for like half the recording, and I was like, oh Christ, how did I not know this? And managed to a mix of manual and automated get that out, and it was fine. And now that company uses that recording, and if someone's got a problem with it, then they don't know me, so it goes to the company.
Because the one time I had to do any kind of professional read was just for like an insurance company's testimonials over here. I have no idea how I landed that job at any point, but you know what?
All right, yeah.
They were paying a decent amount for the amount of effort I had to put in. So went with it, and it was like, okay, now there's an insurance company out there that is probably using my fake-ass testimonial. Trying to snipe some customers here and there, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah, that one time repairing that waveform, it was literally like sweat nervously, zooms all the way in. Okay, so what's the corrupted part? I'm going to have to go through this with a fine-tooth comb. Okay, found the corrupted part. I need to isolate it, cut it out. Now I need to redraw the waveform. Consults a calculator, consults a couple of graphs. This is going to take me a while.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, there are tools out there for kind of smoothing it out, almost as if you're using like a spot healing tool on Photoshop. Very close to that, but for audio, but yeah. Oh boy, that was a time, and that was... Yep, I think it would have been far less effort to just call the guy back in, but you know what? Gotta follow what the director says.
Yeah.
Man.
The woes of voice work.
Yep. I do have to ask then, in which case, so what is your creative process like then, when it comes to doing voice work?
So this is the thing is, I think one of the core things is to get you kind of want to get yourself into the mindset of the character that you are playing, when you're doing like an acting role. I don't do that to like a significant degree. I'm not a method actor or anything like that. Okay. But something that's always worth sort of thinking about when you're recording a line is like, okay, who am I? Where am I? What am I doing? What is happening? How should I be responding? Right? Because like you got to make sure that you're delivering the right kind of emotional beat. You don't want to be reading a line too dryly. You don't want to be putting on an inflection that really doesn't fit the scene. And that kind of helps whenever I take an initial shot at doing a line. So what I kind of so like it's a lot of it is winging it. Oh Jesus!
Yeah, that happens.
BattleTech just blown up onto your screen.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. Thanks for the bits, buddy. All right. Anyhow,
the thing that I quite sort of I generally go with like a first approach and see what I can do with it. Try a few other inflections if I'm in isolation. But if I've got a coach, that's at least someone you can sort of bounce back and forth with. It's a little bit hard to describe the creative process in full because, to be honest, a lot of it is winging it. And I get a little bit self-conscious about it because I do a lot of like pen and paper role playing with friends, and I get to the table and a lot of the time I think I go like, I don't think I really did that well. I just kind of like came in and just sort of like kind of lazily sort of went in, and they go like, what are you talking about? You did really, really good. And I just went like, what? Oh, okay. But on the other hand of things, I get the opposite effect where I've also played pen and paper games with, funnily enough, Speaker, who has gone. Funnily enough, Speaker, who has gone ahead and said, like, he's done like some incredible stuff with role playing, and it's made me go like, oh boy, I really need to give it my all. So, yeah, I think it's the core thing is just understanding the character that you are playing, and if it goes, and even if you're doing like a more neutral thing of like, I'm doing a line read for a company, I'm being a narrator, I'm in an advert or something like that. There's still a certain thing of like just consider the context of the scene, and to just try and match that tone and try to meet that tone. If you're meant to be friendly, sound friendly, but don't overdo it, don't ham it up. It's a balance of equilibrium, and a lot of practice before your takes really helps with that.
Okay. In which case, I'll ask about two very different sequences then, in which case. So, do you remember the Tau episode? Way back in TTS.
I do. There was a time where I would call it my favorite episode that I'd ever done, and because that Tau episode marked a change in like Kitten's characterization and like how I was able to kind of act, because I got to do a lot of improv for that episode.
Okay.
More of it kept in than I thought, and there was going to be. And I was sort of like, Oh boy. But it was that episode. I remember like there was a while where I'd say my favorite point of TTS was episodes 15 to 20. I
Okay.
felt like it was a really nice balance between the learning about the universe combined with the plot expanding and more things going on, while still being mostly comedic and still focused around the throne room and the and the sort of premise of the show from back in the early days.
Okay.
I think nowadays I'm more of the angle that the expansion of the series was a really good thing for it, because cool stuff was done with Kitten and it let other characters get to do things as well that I think is great. But like the Tower episode in particular was just a bit of a weird one to look back on for me, because it was 7 years ago, and like acting as Kitten has just changed completely for me. Like there's that being said, I think it's one of those episodes that set up the characterization of Kitten as being very, very British in it, and that was that was fun going forward. I think it kind of led to Hunter the Parenting.
Because yeah, the main sequence in that one that is memorable is more or less the whole Melee rant. Just that whole like 2 minutes straight of just Kitten just going completely ham and eventually landing on, yeah, shank something with a sharp object. Not quite the most honorable.
Yeah. It's oh my god. Yeah, that's the thing. That was an improv one where I was like, is that gonna stay in? And then it did.
Oh no, that one was bloody good. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Because goddamn. But yeah,
it's at a bar very high.
But yeah, from contrast that against something like completely random and more recent, then the one section where Kitten suddenly hops on stilts.
Oh yeah, the stilt section. When I found out that was going to be a thing, I found it hysterical. I thought it was. I really liked that sequence. I don't know if this will make Hunter the Parenting make more sense, but Speaker, Alpha, and to a certain extent Erndil, all quite like JoJo a good bit.
Yeah, no, I noticed that very quickly in even TTS. Good lord.
With the fucking fab custodies.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like Speaker and Alpha are like big fans of even like the manga that came out with like Part 8 and everything like that. And
Okay.
I think that really speaks for how they wrote the fight of episode 3 of, I almost got Part 3, episode 3 of Hunter the Parenting. Because it has having watched JoJo now because of those friends, I sort of said like I can kind of see where it's like, oh, a sudden weird wacky thing has been pulled out in the fight and it seems completely off the ball, but it's part of an elaborate scheme that the characters are trying to do to fight this threat.
Oh boy.
And the stilt thing, it didn't take as long in the recording booth to record that section than I thought it was going to. I thought we'd be doing a lot of takes of, okay, sound like you're on stilts. I have never been on stilts. I don't, well, not ones that are that high. I don't know what that the energy is of trying to maintain balance on something like that. But they were super happy with it, and it's legitimately one of my favorite gags. Is just the amusement of, because you know what, I think a lot of episode 3 with Piotr and Kitten,
yeah,
it's for a really tense situation, it's weirdly comedic. It's an exercise of weirding each other out until like it gets to a point where Piotr is got, you know, leverage and can actually like hurt Kitten and can hurt everyone because he's got Marcus.
Yeah.
And again, it's another cutaway gag, but it's when Kitten just crawls out of the hole and hisses at him.
Oh,
like a bit in that script that didn't make it in was like Speaker went like, "Can you hiss like a cat?" And I went, "Yeah, I can do that." So that is me hissing as a cat. That's not a sound effect.
Oh god.
And then he went, "Cool. Can you roar like a mountain lion?" And I was like, no. I cannot do the I can't even make the sound, but that like I was like I thought they were gonna splice in there's that really iconic soundbite of a mountain lion.
Oh yeah.
That like I think it's used in like every film, and I thought they were gonna use that and they didn't, but
Nope, you gotta hiss.
yeah, there's like that. There's Piotr fucking licking his eyeballs and just doing weird shit, and then you get to Kitten pulling out stilts and Piotr being like, "Is this your fucking plan? You're gonna run? You're gonna run away on stilts? Like, what's your thinking? Is that are they? Is it because they're long, so you think they'll be quicker? But then, you know,
Yep.
it turns out that Piotr was the one that didn't have a leg to stand on in the end. So,
Yep.
yeah, that was a fucking great scene. I really liked that one in episode 3.
Because yeah, like between those, it seems like quite a bit had changed in the way you delivered voice acting. Essentially, yeah.
Oh god, yeah. It was quite nerve-wracking because I was like, I am going to have to live up to, because at that time the voice actor for Piotr and I both lived in the same house.
Oh,
So we could hear each other's recordings when we were when one of us was recording, we could hear the other one in the other room.
ooh.
And it was like fuck me, I've got something to live up to with Piotr here, like Jesus. Yeah, it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but it led to, I think I would say unquestionably like Alpha's best fucking video. Like it's so good.
Yep. That episode 3, goddamn. Like after I'd finished, I was like, huh. Okay. Alright. I can finally go to sleep, right? Nope. Didn't go to sleep after that, unfortunately, but yeah.
No, don't worry. Piotr's in hell.
Main thing was just like I needed to pick up the one behind me from the airport, and yeah, I wasn't sleeping that night at that point, so
Ooh.
in the end, I just ended up finishing the entirety of Cyberpunk Edge Runners, then going to the airport.
Excellent. You know, art is always meant to inspire all kinds of emotions. It's meant to be joy, sadness, fear. I'm glad we got that one right.
Just dead restlessness by the end of it. I was like, you know what? It's like 5 a.m. now. Well, let's keep going.
Yep. Yeah. How is Edge Runners, by the way? I hear a lot of really good stuff about it.
Yeah, it's good. That's about the gist of it, though. It's good. If you know the studio's particular work, then it plays out pretty much exactly like any other work by that studio. Almost.
Okay, cool. Because I've had friends of mine show me like a bit of Gurren Lagann, and then same fucker made me watch through Promare with him, and that was a litmus test. Actually,
God.
quite. Promare was fun. I think my main criticism of it was like that the third act felt like it went on forever.
Yeah.
But like it was good fun though.
Premiere's a fun film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. So I do have to ask specifically, in your case, as one of the voice actors for TTS and Hunter, how much creative input do you actually have on each of them?
For me, I would say it's quite limited. I'm not one of the people who writes the scripts. I'm just an actor.
Okay.
That being said, me being cast as Kitten very much affected the way that they wrote Kitten. Initially, when TTS was first made, the first episode that was meant to be a one throwaway video that was not going to be a series. I was just there to fill in the role of like, yeah, okay, like Alpha was like, I like the sound of Thunder's voice. I'll get him to voice a custodian. I think it fits.
Okay.
And then as time went on, he said like he kind of started to write the script more around the way that I spoke. We then got into the improv moments where Alpha wanted to lean into that a lot, and that affected the way Kitten was characterized. Now what I tend to find is we will sometimes rewrite bits of the script during recording if it just makes a bit of dialogue just sound more natural. Because I don't know how noticeable it is, but Hunter the Parenting is not written by British people. They have to consult several of us to kind of really like nail how the characters talk. And sometimes when they bring me on, it's like, yeah, maybe we should do this. I also get asked about directly about slang a lot and that sort of thing.
Oh boy.
I think at the moment my role in the production chat is the what did they call me? Norfolk expert, because it's set in Norfolk.
Oh god.
Norfolk, because that's where I live. But and that being said though, whenever they've needed some legwork done of like, oh, can we look into some Norfolk folklore? We want to do some more things, like we want to get some ideas around for like future episodes or just like lore tidbits for folklore. They'd be like, Thunder, can you do that? And I go, yeah, sure. And then someone's already beating me to the punch, and I'm like, oh god. I live here. I can walk to these places, and I've already been beaten by someone else. But yeah, I wouldn't say I have a whole lot of influence on the direct writing, but admittedly, there's a recent script where I was sort of asked to read through it and put some input in, and I think that's going to affect things. But another thing I guess I can talk about is that I was going to write an episode of Bro Trip for TTS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was me, Dr. White, and the voice actor for Cypher, who's called Very. We were all brought on to co-write an episode of Bro Trip, the Vulcan and Korax series.
Yeah.
And we made a really fun little script about Gorka Morka.
Oh god.
And that was gonna be like brilliant. I was really happy with how that script turned out. Unfortunately, because of the fate of TTS, that didn't come into light. But I imagine if TTS does get brought out, if it ever does get brought out of indefinite hiatus, maybe it'll see the light of day. But that's the closest I've ever gotten to being directly creatively involved, is either as a local consultant or as a someone who nearly wrote an episode for TTS. So yeah.
In that case, I have to ask, so what are the interesting things, so to speak, about Norfolk then?
That's the thing. I personally wouldn't say that our county is super duper interesting. We are a farming county. We're very, very flat, and we're full of marshland. That being said, as somewhere that's quite rural, it does have a sort of affinity for having weird folklore. People in isolated pockets will see weird things in the night, weird things in the countryside, and they'll all build up their own tales as to what they were. It's not that well documented either, so there's some things that you kind of read about and you go, that sounds really cool, and you can't find anything on it. But the whole East Anglia area, because Norfolk's a part of a greater area called East Anglia. Boudica of Celtic fame was from East Anglia.
Okay.
Quite a few rebellions happened in Norfolk actually, like people trying to overthrow kings and things. But we're the central city, the big city in Norfolk is called Norwich, and it's quite historic. We've got like 2 big old cathedrals. They used to say that Norfolk had a church for every week and a pub for every day. And that kind of holds up because there are a lot of pubs and a lot of churches. Those are probably the main things I'd say were interesting about Norfolk. And but like the main reason that Hunter got set in Norfolk is primarily because I think Alpha kind of romanticized it a little bit when, you know, him and I started becoming friends and we started talking about where we were based and things like that. He liked the idea of Norfolk being this, like, I think he sees this as this very quaint little funny place that has some really, really cool stuff behind it. And I was like, hey, I mean, I'm based there. I can help you out with stuff if you want to set. show here, which he did. He, like, I didn't know that Hunter was being set in Norfolk until I think, like, I was being brought on to record as the new Kitten, and I was like, oh my god. Okay. That explains everything. So yeah.
Interesting, because normally when people think of the UK, normally I think of spots where, say, Arthurian legend ended up taking place instead. But, you know, down by Cornwall and whatnot, so it's like, huh.
Yeah, Wessex, London, maybe a little bit of York tends to be the places people will kind of gravitate towards. I'm happy Hunter that exists because it does sort of it lets us bring East Anglia into a little bit more of the limelight. But for the most part, we're very quaint. We're a quaint little county, and despite the fact we're called Norfolk, we are very southern.
Oh,
so
boy.
That's also confusing.
Fair enough. I was gonna ask then, if it came to like legends and whatnot, was the Fiddler one of those, or was that actually just one that was come up with?
That is a local one.
Oh shit!
So
okay.
I actually went on a little bit of a research trip to the root of the Fiddler. That was a fun part of making episode 1. I drove down to the towns that are in the episode, as well as a few more around them, to look into things a little bit more. And a friend of mine did as well, and got some really cool material. But that one's a genuine local legend. I think it's one that, if you were to ask me seriously what I think about the legend, I think that it's several separate legends that are like connected. I don't think that there is genuinely a huge tunnel between the 2 points, because it's miles and miles and miles away. But it's a very cool idea to think about, and I think the individual stuff is really cool. The Fiddler story, though, like, nothing seems to debunk it. That's probably something that did happen. It's like a story from the 30s is like something where that's either going to get debunked by people who lived at that time, or it's something that it's got to be real if it's fairly recent that people are talking about it. And sure enough, when I went there, I couldn't find anything to suggest that the Fiddler wasn't real, and a guy did actually go missing in there. And it's like, damn, okay.
Alright.
Who knows how? Like, maybe the tunnels aren't linked, but who knows how far they go, right? Yeah.
Interesting. It will be quite something to see how far you guys end up pushing that along, though, is the thing, because right at the end of the first episode, you straight up just get some guy on a cliffside, just go like, yep, here's a little ditty. Plays a bit of the fiddle.
Yeah. Yeah, we had someone in chat ask if we're going to see that person again, and I would say yes, we are, because it was just a really cool note to end the episode on.
Yeah. I was just like, okay, all right, fair enough. Just fiddles a note. Okay. All right, we know what's coming later on then. 2 episodes later, still nothing. It's like, okay, all right, we're gonna continue with the vampires.
Yep.
Because, man, yeah. Like, let's see, how do I word this particular one? So, how exactly did the casts all get together, so to speak? Like, how did you end up finding each individual to just shove in to this project in the end?
So this is a bit of a long story, so I'll give the kind of Cliff Note version of it, or we'll be here for forever.
Okay.
So when Alpha's sort of YouTube started to, well, in my opinion, kick off, but it was quite low numbers. It was like a couple of thousand people on YouTube. He started getting a lot of friend requests on Steam and decided, like, I can't add everyone that wants to chat with me on Steam. I'll make a Steam group, and we can like hang out and stuff like that. And so he did, and he called it the Alpha Legion, spelled like ALFA Legion, and it was originally just a hangout for people who liked Alpha stuff, but then it gradually evolved into sort of a 40k sub fandom. People made up lore about about a fictional Space Marine chapter called the Alpha Legion with an F. Kind of played for laughs, and we then ended up. And then that kind of expanded into like becoming a whole lore thing. Forums were made, game nights were being hosted, fan work started getting made. People were making characters, they were role playing as those characters. All this stuff, it like expanded into something huge, and like quite huge for a group like that. I think it peaked at about 7,000 members, but that still was a lot of people.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Yeah. And naturally, when you've got that many people, you kind of start, like, cliques start to form. And some of the very early adopters ended up forming a group called the Veterans. And I was lucky enough to be in that group. We sort of hung out with Alpha directly, sort of got to know him. And a lot of the people who became part of TTS were people who were in that group initially.
Okay.
There's sort of a few exceptions to that, where like one or two people we'd see some talent and we'd want to bring them on because we'd seen someone do some brilliant work. Like around about 2018, I think we did a big casting call for voice actresses because we were going to bring in like the Sisters of Battle and a lot of Eldar in, so we wanted to get sort of a wider pool of people for casting that. And then in one or two cases, and I do not recommend doing this to get involved in a team like this, we get a comment from a fellow called Stringstorm on a TTS episode who goes, "Well, the audio balancing isn't particularly great in this episode. I feel like I could fix it for you." And then getting in touch with Alpha, and then Stringstorm becoming one of our audio guys, and that was that's sort of the way that things happened. A lot of Hunter, by comparison, is like mainly people that have come from the TTS group. Like, there's lots of people who are on TTS that still have yet to be in one of the new projects, and we're still kind of like cycling through to see what we can do. But most people are cast because we feel like they're going to do a character particularly well, and it's mainly people we know that are on hand, and that's sort of the gist of it.
All right, fair enough. Because I was gonna say, you guys have managed to accumulate quite the cast of characters, so to speak.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and like some people have really been able to rise to the top and do some like awesome stuff, both with TTS and also outside of it. I think Super Anchors, who plays Dawn, Regal Dawn, I think he does professional stuff straight up. There was a time he had his own YouTube channel as well, and that kind of exploded for a bit, and he's been in other people's videos and stuff too. So like people just go all over the place with it.
Because yeah, I did some poking around with Doors a lot, and I was just like, there's a 10k subscribed channel sitting just here with nothing on it. Where did they get this fella, so to speak?
Oh yeah.
Because after digging around on various people here and there, it's just like you put some pieces together. You got to do a bit of investigation work if you ever do production roles and whatnot. And it's like, all right. Okay, can finally recommend this person to a host or something and see what goes on from there. Because that's how we did things back on radio. It was, if you were a producer for that week, then you had to go out and seek out potential interviewees. If you were the host that week, you had to then scan through those interviewees and then check through and see if there was anyone you wanted to go ahead and grab for a particular day.
Yeah.
Because on radio we'd have like 5 minutes tops. So we had to filter it out to the person we'd find the most interesting by far. Because the particular airtime I had to deal with was that single peak hour where everyone is driving home from work.
Oh god, yeah, no.
Yep.
That's gonna be tough.
The average listenership was anywhere between 20k to 50k, as far as I was told. And we had to pretty much nail it for that entire hour, and then you could rotate back out with someone else.
Yeah, no, my god. it's got to be like real, like you got to be real quick with that kind of thing, right? Especially if you're going to be live. It's
Yeah, it's snap to the next point, snap to the next point, snap on and on and on. You've just got to cut
See,
everything real short.
yeah. Yeah, no, you couldn't do that with me. I'd be like, wait a second, I've still got to talk about Illbleed, and then I'd be gone. And they'd be playing Wonderwall over me.
God. Yeah, on the other hand, just over here on this channel, can just go with whatever. Hence why I've been able to just hold those interviews, which go on for like 6 hours. God freaking damn it, Remy. God freaking damn it.
Oh my god.
But yeah, Sapphire Bright Eyes, thanks for the sub. Thanks for the sub. Welcome, welcome. But anyhow, go on.
No, I basically sort of finished my point. I was just going to say, welcome aboard. welcome to the channel. This is a good energy here. I like this.
Yeah. In a nutshell, just production is quite a thing to do. That being said, so this next one is probably most job interview like question that I do throw out here, at least. And that is simply just, what are your goals for the future then?
Right. Well, I think probably the ones I would mention are the ones that are most relevant to what I do online. But I do, having had a long stint of not making videos, I guess twice now, it's been a thing of, I do legitimately want to get back into content creation. The main thing is just the challenges of like what to do about it, because I mentioned a bit earlier on that I like the 40k stuff and the fate of TTS kind of maybe kind of put me into analysis paralysis of what do I even do. Like, people are expecting me to do the rest of the Dawn of War stuff, and there's also a big concern that of like if I want to make something that isn't related to Warhammer, are people going to want to actually watch it or listen to it? And because a lot of people come to Warhammer for different reasons, right? Someone who's a Warhammer fan might be, they might be someone who reads books, they might be someone who paints minis, they might be someone who plays video games, scours wikis, or they are just a straight up wargamer, like a tabletop wargamer. But they're all united in the fact they clearly like this property and they like this mythos. And if you deviate from that, how do you know you're going to retain those people? There was a big concern with Hunter the Parenting, even, because a lot of us thought are people going to latch on to Vampire the Masquerade? Are they going to latch onto World of Darkness? It's a very different setting. And I think the fact that the smart decision was made to keep some of the characters from TTS, one, because we really liked writing them and acting as them, and two, because it kind of eases people into a new setting, was a really good move, and it let people see what, in my opinion, is probably the best work that Alpha's done yet. But yeah, so that's a concern I have as well. Of like, I want to do more retrospectives, and I want to do other sort of content creation stuff as well with YouTube. Like, video essays are a big thing now, and I can't say I can write a good essay. I went through uni, and it was one of my weakest fucking points, was writing essays.
Oh, likewise. Good lord.
Yeah, but I can talk, and I do sure like to make observations about things. So I could probably still make content where I talk about a thing in great detail, without it strictly having to be a retrospective analysis or a breakdown of like the psychology of Mario or whatever. But that's something I want to do. Ultimately, I think I'm going to have to kind of reach a compromise of doing some 40k stuff and doing some stuff that isn't. But the key thing now is I want to finish the Dawn of War series. I want to try some new stuff and kind of intersplice that and see how people react, because for all I know, I might just one day, I don't know, make a video about Halo and people go, oh shit, I really like this, and then what do you know, I've got a whole other fandom that now really likes my work. And but it's a whole thing. But But I actually was thinking about wanting to stream on Twitch, but because there's been times I've played video games and thought this would be fun to just play while talking to people, and and maybe having an audience, because some stuff is just really entertaining. So if I ever did get into streaming, I probably want to do some fairly chill things of just playing games or whatever, and see how that goes.
Honestly,
yeah.
setting up stream is easy enough. I've got way too many people who have done it recently, honestly.
But yeah, no, the fate of TTS has made my relationship with 40k a little complicated, but I ultimately really like the IP, and I really like the stuff that's come out from it. I want to finish. I'll finish the Dawn of War retrospectives. I will probably do things like Space Marine Fire Warrior, and even a few weird ones. I've got like Squad Command on the PSP.
Jesus. Okay, yeah, that was my first thought. It's like, are you going to say Squad? Oh shit.
Yes, Squad Command.
Squad Command's a really weird one. Jeez.
Yeah. And then there's like Chaos Gate's a big popular one as well. So it's tough. I think what everyone would eventually say is just make what you want to do. And that's the goal, but the point is that I don't want to make a miscalculation, right? If I go, oh, people like Dawn of War because it's a strategy game, I'm gonna review Fire Emblem. I'm gonna do every Fire Emblem. I'll review fucking 20 games, and I'm like, where did everyone go? No, come back. Like, it's that kind of thing.
But the Fire Emblem fan base is a very vicious one. Oh god.
Oh god. They would not like my. I'm not sure how much the Fire Emblem fan base would like my takes.
They tear some people apart real hard for certain takes. Oh god.
Oh god, yeah. But yeah, yeah. I think it's a whole thing. But to get back into video making, I probably need to be more confident of making what I want, and that's going to be the goal really going forward. Who knows? We might see something before the end of the year. It really depends on how much time I can make between work and some other stuff in life.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Because myself, anytime I try putting down things to write a video essay, I'm just like, oh boy. Okay, how much am I going to need to explain? This is going to take me a time. Oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, my own background is, I used to be a freelance writer, freelance game dev at some point, into radio, and then now into being a casino dealer. So...
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, there's a fair bit thrown in there, So me looking at a potential video essay, I'm just like, huh. Okay, the first one, and probably most controversial one I could ever write, most likely be titled A Casino Dealer's Perspective on Gacha Games.
That sounds like legitimately interesting though. Like consider how many videos on YouTube are of like Royal Marine watches video of man with gun, and it's like there's like people legitimately like that though, because they go like, oh, it's a person who's familiar with the field actually like looking at something like this, and I think you could absolutely make that work, because the other hope really is you grab people with a title and a thumbnail kind of well enough that you get like a bunch of new people come in who go like, oh, hang on seconds, and then they click that and they discover your channel and go, okay, like there's no harm in that at all.
Yeah. Because I will say the general gist of it is you actually have a better chance of getting rich at the casino than you do of rolling a SSR in a lot of gacha games.
Why am I not even surprised? That honestly checks out. Like, is that like to be fair, I should probably wait for a video to come out, but is that like is that just due to the way that the number, that like the chance, or is it just like
okay,
I don't
so
really know.
Most loot box wise affairs, so gacha games in general, gold standard is having a 0.08% chance of landing an SSR, or like the rarest item in a box, or spin or roll or whatever. At a casino, if you play Baccarat with a certain amount of capital, taking into account every potential scenario and playing it a very specific way, where you need to double down on your losses and whatnot, and play it as if you've got balls made of fucking steel, then yes, you will actually be far more likely to strike it rich than you will be to roll that SSR in whatever gacha game it is. And it's not even close, is the thing. Like, your chances of it are about 99.8% chance of making it rich. The only problem is if you get that 0.02% chance, you are in $15,000 of debt. That is the only difference, basically. And I've seen that happen. I've seen that happen in front of me on an almost daily basis. So, yeah. Yeah. On the other hand,
fucking hell,
blow all your money on gacha and you will eventually get that, 0.08% chance after pity. So, yeah.
You'll get your PNG.
You'll get your PNG. You'll get your PNG. But yeah.
Oh, finally.
It's
oh my.
It's a very wild kind of affair to look into, because then you realize, yeah, the casino employs some of the tactics that you'll see in a gacha game to steal your money or to, to do your way out of some money here and there. But then instead, when you look at a gacha game, they've done the research, they've thrown in all of the extra psychology, they're not exactly the most regulated by law, so they can go several steps further. It is pretty disgusting, is the thing, after all of that. Because I don't mind working at a casino. I would not want to be a game dev at a gacha company.
No, yeah, no, it does not seem particularly feel good to be doing that kind of thing. Like, I'm a bit old-fashioned. I do think back to the days where like cosmetic unlocks were something that you unlock rather than you buy, and it makes a ton of money, and I just find it a shame that we don't really go back to the old-fashioned way. Yeah. Like I feel bad for the games that sort of did an okay job of offsetting. Like, this is a very odd example, but I'm a big Crash Bandicoot fan, and I like I played the racing game remaster that came out, Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. Stirred up a lot of controversy because it started off with no microtransactions, then it put them in like a month later, and it was like it was seen as very like sleazy to be just suddenly undercut like that. But the thing is as the development of that game went on, it was like, yeah, the microtransactions are still there, we're obligated to have them in, but here are a ton of ways that you can just unlock these things in game in like good time, and with a decent amount of it wouldn't be like literal hours of grinding. It would just be like, yeah, just play the game for like 10 minutes and you can afford everything you want. Have fun. And that was better for me than like the season pass shit that we get these days and all that kind of thing. Like,
the thing I personally find is what that mindset of the grind is meant to mean, pretty much. Like, that's the biggest thing with these games. It's either you have more money than you have time, or you have more time than you have money, and then you are forced to choose between those two. And that is probably the biggest, scummiest thing, because for the longest time, games would have more or less been seen as that outlet of, this is the grand equalizer, this is your meritocracy. If you've got the skill and you are willing to pay the entry fee, then sure, you can have whatever you're able to grind your way to. Nowadays, it's just, if you've got the money and not necessarily the skill, well, we've got a department for you.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, I think it's probably a bit more of a contentious topic to go into, but like, I think it's one of the reasons I never got that into collectible card games, because it's a similar thing of like the meta and a little bit of 40k tabletop of you have to buy. Actually, no, this train of thought doesn't make any sense. Collectible card games, booster packs, cards are rare. Someone can stack up. Someone can, with enough money and enough time, make a better deck than you by paying for all the random chance, and there's no equalizer there. And I guess with 40k, I think my train of thought was that with 40k you have to buy models and the meta always changes, so it's like a very expensive exercise just without the randomness, but that's not really relevant. No, again, yeah, I think I agree with that point of like games used to be about if you're the best, you get the skins and you get the look you want.
Yep.
I always liked the there was always a sort of a way that Bungie did it with Halo 3 that I always liked, which was that you know, some armor it's like you have to beat the game on legendary to get this. You have to get this certain achievement to do it. But you could get friends to help you, right?
Yeah.
If you wanted to get the skulls in Halo 3, and some of them really required some like real detective work, you could get friends together to beat a whole level on legendary and do all the guesswork to get the I would have been your daddy skull, which is one of the hardest ones to get in that game. So you can get your ninja armor and look like a huge weeb, and everyone will actually, I don't know, it was 2007, people probably weren't like, people just thought like it was cool.
So, people liked your, you know, ninja samurai kind of look, the Hayabusa armor. Then when they saw you with the katana, they were just like, oh, this guy spent a lot of time, huh?
When I finally got the katana body piece in Halo 3, I was like ecstatic because I was like, yes, I have done it. I am with the legends in this game. And then I forgot that I was playing the game like in 2009 and like a bunch of DLC had come out that added more achievements. So it's like, oh, well, I do have it, but the goalpost sure moved for me. Yeah.
In that case, maybe covering Halo would be an interesting one for you at some point, huh?
I'd love to. Halo is a big one for me. I hope there's a little bit of overlap with the 40k community because it's another sci-fi property where humanity is an underdog and they have a big man in a suit of armor who beats aliens up. So, you know, like there's some, right? I actually think that some of my disillusion with 40k was a little bit foreshadowed with how Halo went. The Primaris Marines remind me a lot of the Spartan 4s that was introduced to the Halo 4 and 5. And they're not quite the same, but it was a similar thing of we have made a new breed of super soldier for the game that kind of makes the previous ones a little less special, and I never liked that. But,
the Primaris project was definitely a very weird point of time. It was just like, okay, how do we sell Marines that aren't Marines and are slightly bigger? All right.
Yeah.
We give them 2 hearts and we call them Primaris.
Woo woo!
And now they can't fit in your rhinos anymore. No more metal boxes for you.
No. Yeah, it's a like Primaris have some cool things about them that people have brought up. Like they bring up some cool storytelling possibilities, and the models look the models mostly look pretty good. Like some of the vehicles are a bit goofy, but the whole. But like I think it's more. The Emperor's Finest probably shouldn't be the 4th best, right? like Space Marines are beaten out by Custodes, Grey Knights, and Primaris now, and it's like, it's a whole thing. But that's maybe me splitting hairs. I think Primaris is very popular with people who now like who are continuing with 40k, but for me, like, they were the beginning of my like. When I decided to boycott 40k for the sake of TTS, I just sort of was like, why is this not that hard for me? And I thought about some of the creative decisions over the last 5 years and went, oh yeah, that's probably why.
For me, a good chunk of it was TTS going down and then tabletop souring a fair bit for me. Because I was an active player of the tabletop for a while, and then it just dunked down a fair bit after the new edition came. I'm like, I liked playing my AdMac. Well then, now we've got a bunch of new models that are practically mandatory in the... You know what? I'm good. I don't need to spend another $500 upgrading my army, plus all of the hobby supplies I'll need to paint them up. You know what? This is where I part ways with the IP. Paul, you are going to be the best looking thing on my shelf. That's going to stay like that.
Oh no, amen. I've got I don't have that much 40k stuff out now on my shelves anymore, but one of them I'm looking at right now is a really goofy one. It's a there's like a particular piece of terrain that is like of like a space marine guy holding a sword, and
Oh.
I decided to paint it to look like Boreal from Soulstorm, and that's just what I have
Oh.
now.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so
Man,
he's
Boreal. Freaking hell.
he yeah, I fucking like, Boreal is a beautiful man.
Yes.
Loving the pieces.
Saving grace of Soulstorm.
Rest in peace, my hero.
Because yeah, Soulstorm, there were 2 voice acting parts, of which got my brother and I being like, what in the flying fuck? Okay. First one was Boreal. Take a guess who the bloody hell the second one was.
Oh shit. That's a toughie because there's a good few. I'm gonna take a wild guess at Gorguts.
No, it was the Tau Commander.
Oh yeah, he's a bit like.
Yeah, the main thing with him is he sounds like a regular Tau Commander the entire time and everything. And then right at the end, after you defeat his Stronghold finishing cinematic lasts all of 30 seconds. Because he has one bloody line and that's it. Androyu, we have lost him. We have lost all.
Yeah,
that is it.
He sounds like they tried to make him sound like all emotional. He just sounds like he's half drunk. Like he's.
And the thing is, like, it pans like 500, 600 meters away before it finally gets to him.
Yeah, it like zooms in really fast.
He just flies over. It's like, man, because you know, for Dark Crusade, it's like a very respectable ending. It's like, Ornvar's dead. Well, we're pulling the fuck out.
Yeah.
It's just a sheer contrast when that pops up instead. God damn.
That's the thing I think about sometimes, is most of the endings of Soulstorm is just the commander or the second commander looking at everything blow up and just go, well. And like not even a response, not even a further train of thought. She's like, oh, well.
Well, yeah,
right.
It's all over.
And fades to black.
God.
As 6 guardsmen run up to Boreal and shoot him.
Yep. Soulstorm
yeah.
was way too weird. Good God. Man.
It will live on in our hearts.
Yep.
But, yeah.
Pretty much. Anyhow, may as well get round to like the last 2 questions of this interview anyhow. So, First one, this one comes in a pair, First one's quite simple. So, recommend some food, any food whatsoever.
Ooh, okay. I thought about this way too long, but I was kind of like, what can I recommend? And I thought about something I had quite recently.
All right.
I went to like a restaurant quite local to where I live, and I tried what they called a breakfast naan.
Okay.
So kind of just it's like a very almost like a quite a large bit of like naan bread that was kind of like rolled up and baked to have sort of breakfast food in it.
Oh,
and
okay.
It was really, really good because it wasn't super, like, it wasn't the most typical breakfast food. There was like, I think like some of the meat had been like cured a certain way and that kind of thing. But it was made in such a way that like really complemented the bread, and it was delicious. I strongly recommend trying to find some recipes for breakfast naan, or seeing, or even just trying it in general, because naan bread is just really good. That's my first one that came to mind for that.
Oh, fair enough. Because yeah, naan bread, in a breakfast kind of sort. All right, makes sense. I suppose makes sense, because usually whenever I pick up naan bread, it's from a certain bakery. And all they do to it really is they put in a couple of fried onions and some cheese, pretty much.
Yeah.
In university days, it was the biggest slab of bread you could buy from a certain place, which, you know, saved your wallet.
Oh god, yeah, 100%.
It was just like, yeah, $2, you get a 50 centimeter or so long chunk of naan bread. It's like, yeah, sure, I'll take this. Yeah, sure. But yeah. Apart from that, second part is simply recommend a drink, any drink whatsoever.
I'll. This one was even harder, so I'm going to take a brief cop out because I have been ill most of this week. I'm kind of
Okay.
glad that when it got around to today, I'm actually doing pretty good. But I had basically had like a kind of a flu, and that led to, you know, some like dry throat, blocked up nose, all that kind of stuff. And so I have been drinking non-stop lemon tea with honey in it.
Oh,
and
okay.
uh, and that is something I can strongly recommend for if you've got like one of those kind of Qatari kind of throats that's like just feels like like really sore. It feels like it's like full of phlegm or something like that. that will like that's it's warm, it's soothing, it will melt things down, and even if you leave it to cool, the honey will still be in there, and it will still like work really well for that kind of thing. And
Fair enough. Fair enough.
so it's something I only ever have when I'm sick, because I get a bit tired of it if I'm drinking it, like, because I'll drink it a lot. But that is my recommendation. If you are ever ill with a sore throat, take it from a voice actor. Honey and lemon tea, it does the job. It's real good.
All right. Fair enough. Fair enough. Like me personally, I am slightly allergic to raw honey because of a couple of unfortunate incidents here and there. So
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
anytime it comes to having a sore throat, I'm just like, you know what? I'm kind of screwed here.
Oh,
Well,
crap. Oh.
because yeah, the usual solutions for whatever people recommend, for some reason, like this was maybe like 10 years ago or something like that, a whole decade ago. The first thing you'd get on Google search was actually, if you've got a sore throat, use cayenne pepper. And that was universally the one thing that was recommended by like 10 different websites. And I was just like, what in the flying fuck is a cayenne pepper? Okay, you know what?
Cayenne pepper.
I'm like, okay, sure. It's actually pretty common in cooking these days. But yeah, these days, I'm just like, okay, well, we'll get lemon tea, but well, no raw honey, please. No raw honey. Please spare me that.
No.
Please spare me that.
No, I understand. Yeah, no, lemon tea still does the job quite well. Like the honey is there mainly as just sort of a like an additive bonus.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just my recommendations. Other than that, like, problem is I've been clubbing. I'll drink basically anything. I'm not very good at recommending drinks.
What do you end up with at the club? Just whatever on the top, or?
I mean, basically, yeah. I think I'm more of a. I'm normally I like cocktails more than beers. I'm normally of a vodka rum guy than.
Okay.
Actually, I've sort of come around to tequila a little bit. I used to hate tequila, and now like
Ooh.
tequila sunrise is really good. So
Okay,